Welcome everybody to our True Self Talk right after our True Self or Connect with Your True Self energy session. Yeah, we sound, or I sound, a little spaced out after our energy healing and training session. That comes with the territory. Yeah, we just went through 1 hour of deeply connecting within, and because this group is large, I have helpers, I have co-facilitators, Julianne, Becky, Abigail. Say hi to everybody here. You were just here with me live on Skype, co-facilitating this session. I can't do this on my own. There's too many people in these Connect with Your True Self sessions. Many of you know this. I've been doing this for over 10 years now, and it's beautiful to see how this is growing, how more and more people come. I hope that you use this opportunity to come again. Yeah, this is not a one-time session. This is a regular tradition. This is a ceremony that we do here every month to celebrate the sacredness of our true self connection and to deeper investigate what's in the way. And this session today was very, very deep. It was very lovely. And there were some things that came in right before the session. And they had to do with us recognizing that this true self connection, yeah, the connection with our deepest self, that we don't really need permission for that, that we don't need to have to, that we don't have to be in a certain way, that we don't have to be worthy of it, that all these things, all this what we call overlay, yeah, that is actually something that is in the way. So during this session, before I give you a little bit of a roundup, it was about investigating the deeper parts in us that need to be claimed back. It was about the nature and motivation of our spiritual seeking. Yeah, and why it is so difficult for us sometimes to stick with it. So most of the energetic healing aspects here in this session for all of you had to do with the things that are in the way because of certain mindsets or beliefs, and ultimately because of your motivation. Who of you, let me ask you here, who of you experienced something like a deep spiritual yearning? Yeah, when I say spiritual seeking, what I'm referring to is this part in us, yeah, that wants to belong, that wants to connect, that wants to somehow not feel lonely. Yeah, for some of us it is, you know, this fear of being alone. Who of you, give me something here in the chat, or come onto the microphone and share with us, could identify that this seeking of deeper inner connection, that's coming from a deep fear of perhaps feeling alone. Yeah, who of you feels this kind of seeking? Yeah, that something along those lines, there must be something else. It can't be all of this. There must be something deeper here. Who of you is experiencing an impulse like that? Who of you is experiencing an impulse that sounds more like you have to be in a certain way, yeah, in order to deserve this, and beats him or herself up yeah, for not really quite getting there. Who has issues with that, like where you think you really need to be on your toes, you've got to be in a certain way to deserve this inner connection with your true self or higher self or even inner divinity, depending on how you contextualize it. Jane, you say, I feel lost at times. Yeah, not today. Linda, I take that as sometimes. This session was really about tuning into the desire of inner connection, the desire to more deeply connect with your soul and where that's located, where that's coming from. And the way we can tell as energy healers, yeah, what the motivation is typically by where those resistances, where those blocks occur. Yes, today was a beautiful connection, that is right. Where did you guys feel this in your own sort of sensory system? Did anybody feel or have, I mean, we typically, as energetically sensitives that I suppose most of you are, feel things in our body as well if we tune in, if we take the time to tune in. Upper torso, Linda. Yes, Mandy, beautiful. That it's not really the connection of the group, but there is something like an amplification if people from all over the world come together and focus on the same thing. Yeah, it strengthens this signal in us. So it's not the people in the group. Nobody knows that except for us, except for the facilitators. That's on purpose so that you guys don't get distracted by who is in the session and maybe other people see me. This is a part of the resistance that many of us have with connecting with who we truly are or being true to ourselves. We are so distracted by how other people see us and what they think of us that we never really get to fully connect. But you're right, Mandy, there is something like an amplification of that energy. It's the common focus that we all have at that moment. And it's very, very powerful here in the setting because we're not being distracted by voices or anything like this. So it's very important that this energy session happens within ourselves without these outer distractions, and due to the fact that we are creating a web all around the globe. You guys are coming from all places, which is truly, truly wonderful. And by the way, if you want to, you can share this here in the chat where you guys are located. It gives us, a stronger feeling for what we are experiencing here is not just limited to ourselves. Yes, upper torso, chest, very, very strongly. I'm actually feeling this right now as I'm speaking to you. A lot in the heart space here, right between the sternum and what we call the heart center, which is a little bit above that. And it's still going on, guys. Let's see where you guys are from. Yeah, I've prepared a slide here for you that allows you to tune into some of these lingo things that we use as sort of communication tool, yeah, to understand another a little better. We use the chakra system as navigation, and you can see this here. This is a part of our scanning protocol. I teach how to learn how to read your own energies, but I just want to show this to you here real quick, how the energies in this session here moved from our third chakra, which is about courage, connecting with our life force. It's our identity, yeah, how we present ourselves here in this world, who we are. It's the control aspects of that as well, and the projection aspects, our false self. Our false self is not wrong. It's not bad. Our false self is something that we create as a projection of ourselves, how we want others to see ourselves, and oftentimes, more often than not, actually, if this isn't aligned fully, if we have never really taken the time to connect with our true self enough, we believe in our false self. This could be anything from, seeing yourself as a healer, seeing yourself as a victim, seeing yourself as someone who's not worthy. Those are all aspects of your false self. This is not to be confused with, like, say, the shadow self, which is the part in you that tries to cheat a little bit, where you resort to aspects of yourself to make up for shortcomings, maybe, or where you try to cover up things, where you try to hide, avoid, or keep things in the hidden. So don't misunderstand false self. False self is a psychological term that has to do with how we present ourselves to the world. A projection of myself is often anchored in the subconscious, which means that we don't really question what we present to the world. In some of the energy talks here last week, I've differentiated the true self and the false self in a way that I brought your attention to the difference between what you are and who you are. And then there's a third layer to that that's even more 3D, and that is what we do with it. Okay, but what you are is a soul self, is a true self. You already are a true self, guys. Who you are, that is something that we can choose. And you might think now, if we can choose who we are, or is it still true? No, most of the time it's not. That's why psychology calls it false self. And the purpose of our spiritual impulse, that all humans feel, regardless of the belief system, is to align, to bring the false self and the true self into a more sort of matching, into a more congruent place with another. And when that is disturbed, when that is blocked, or when there's too much overlay, or let's say when we have too many people in our life that tell us who we are or who we're supposed to be, or manipulate us in being different from who we are, just so that they can accept us or approve of us more, that's then when we run into conflicts with our true self and false self. And then the shadow self, if you will, is the part in us that forms out of this. We begin to lie to ourselves. We begin to hide things that we don't deem as worthy, maybe. And that's then when we become untrue to ourselves. So the false self is not necessarily something that you need to feel bad about, because if you think about it, when you have a job, you work in a certain capacity, even if the job that you do is very aligned, is very authentic to you, there still is a certain level of role that you have to play, according to your job description. If you are a parent, for example, yes, you are a true self, but you also need to be a parent. You need to play a certain role. You have a certain responsibility. There's a commitment that comes with that. So your false self reflects that. And sometimes, and this is what we experience as this gut punch, when we are feeling attacked in our identity, we'll feel this here in our third chakra. That is the yellow. I'm sure it's a little bit hard to read. There's also lots of ego stuff there, where we try to insist on, it needing to be in a certain way. And the way this came forward here in this session, obviously this is on a deeper level, we go below or beyond psychology here, was that this misconception that the true self has to be all just good parts. Can anybody relate to what I'm just saying, what I just said? Yeah, there's this fear sometimes in people to connect with their true self because they're afraid of what they might see. Those of you who just commented here that you had a really beautiful connection, could you describe to us, maybe with your words through your microphone? You don't have to turn on the camera, but you can. But describe in your words what it feels like to be connected with your true self. What kind of feeling is that? Anybody?
The actual feeling that I had was sort of extreme relaxation and just sort of a lightness and a release from the tension, and mostly neutral. Like I wasn't in fear and I wasn't in elation, but I was certainly enjoying the release from tension.
Okay, so this, Linda, is an explanation that has to do with your physical. Yeah. So what you were describing is that for you, when you connect deeper within, the first thing you notice is that there's an absence of something, right? An absence of this tension. Yeah. And the relief that comes with it. Yeah. And for many of
Yeah,
us who live in, go ahead.
there's actually a beautiful feeling in my body, but I
Okay.
think that it's because I don't have the tension. But I guess I don't really know that. But it is.
This is wonderful what you just said. There is a feeling, but I think that feeling is, do you hear that in your own description?
For sure.
There's a censoring going on. Your mind censors what you're feeling in this moment. There's a feeling. Yes, and your mind says, oh, that's probably just because there's no tension now.
That's probably true.
And it is. So there's no judgment, obviously, in any of what I'm saying here. For you, this is the process how you are connecting with your true self. The first part of the process is the relaxation, the physical relaxation, the letting go of the tension. And as you're doing that, a feeling is coming in. And that's absolutely true, because when you let go, what is tension? Tension is a holding on. Tension is a trying to control something, even if it's just your posture. Yeah, that's you produce. This is very similar to the false self that I talked before, right? When you have a relaxed posture for yourself, you know, I'm a terrible sloucher, okay, but it's relaxed, okay. When I remind myself that other people are there, I go sit up straight. That requires me to go into a certain level of tension. It does also do something else. It opens up my energy to a certain degree, yeah, but it is something that I first have to let go. I first have to let go of wanting to be in a certain way. This is what you perceive as relaxation. And Yamandi is commenting here. She's referring to peaceful, a peaceful feeling. Now, this is not necessarily a physical sensation. Mandy, for you, that is more of an overall feeling. You feel, like Linda, the absence of something. So peace, a peaceful feeling is the absence of what?
Oh, the absence of fear and tension, but it was like a transcending of the physical attachment to that, like I don't know.
You just said the same thing as Linda. You just used different words.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah. And what we're learning from this is that our connection with our true self, that is sort of hindered or blocked by certain things. And it's slightly different for each and every one of us, but there's a commonality. And that is that there is a certain tension in us, be it an energetic tension, an emotional tension, a mental tension. Yeah, we have to be in a certain way. We have to think in a certain way. It's not okay to think this way. Or a physical tension. And that holds us in a place of control. This is third chakra energy. Yeah, trying to control, trying to hold on to something that we believe must feel this way. A lot of times, actually, guys, you'd be surprised. We accept things as normal simply because we're used to them. So there is a familiarity component here. Yeah, if we are used to living our life in this tension, in this inner confliction, the fear that you described, right? There is a component here that our ego will accept as, well, that's normal. And these few moments, yeah, that we actually take to consciously connect within, where we can immediately feel a letting go, or like something falling off of us, that is then the state without that control. So you guys see here what we are describing, what we're going through. That's why I call this an energy healing and training session. Yeah, we're talking about our experiences and becoming more aware. It's not that we need to get something in order to connect. It's that we have to let go of something in order to connect. This is so counterintuitive for most of us, because spiritual seeking, and especially New Age, has led to this idea of it has to be in a certain way, ascension, we have to get from here to there. And that produces stress, that produces tension in us, that produces a certain level of control and a certain level of, like, I need to be, like a very spiritual self in order to connect with my true self. You can tell by the tone in my voice that that is a misconception. And it is that very misconception that I call the false self, and that I am calling out here as the major block, as the major hindrance to actually be a true self. So in other words, it is that willingness to let go of something that we produce to the outside world, to the, even ourselves, sometimes just based on what we used to, what we think is true. It is in that letting go that we are actually able to connect with our true self. That's why we bring in things such as ego here, because ego is the part of us that censors our being. It is also the part that responds the strongest to fear. Yeah, because the ego's job is the fail-safe. It's the autopilot. It's supposed to ensure our survival, our physical survival. Yeah, not our emotional survival. It's not supposed to make us happy, guys. You need to remember that. Our ego is supposed to keep us alive. It's a neurological, psychological function so that we don't go nuts in the process of living. Yeah, when we have to face adversity. This is what the ego is for, the fail-safe. The second aspect that came forward here was the second chakra. So this is our emotions. This is our feelings, yeah, that are sort of interpreted by our minds. And that's why conditioning here plays a big role. So I want to remind all you guys that all these things, the guilt, the fear, the pain, and the coping, yeah, those are our addictions, our even false self can be addiction. Any kind of projection can be an addiction. That they're supposed to help us cope with something. And coping is part of the ego mechanism. It's there to help us get through something. So, but what is it that we need to get through? And when we connect with our true self, we realize that what we're trying to get through is basically the absence of that connection. It's the absence of that belonging to ourselves, knowing what we are. It's also sometimes the tweaking of that, like trying to be someone that we're not. Yeah, because partner, parents, whatever boss, world expects us to be different. So you see, there's a really, really strong conflict in us, and that conflict between second and third chakra, yeah, between our desire to belong and our ego's notion how we can get there, how to do that. That there's a conflict there, as a duality there. That is, from an energetic standpoint, what we've addressed here in this session. It is then the fourth chakra. It is the true heart connection. Yeah, that has nothing to do with ego. Yeah, that really tunes into self-love. And here you can see true self. Yeah, it's obviously not linear when we talk about energies, but it is the true connection. Yeah, the true belonging that then shows us all the false belongings, the false types of connections. And this was basically here where that's, Linda, you're absolutely right, or not right, but the way you perceived this was accurate, that most of the things here in this session played in this upper torso, yeah, wanting to unite this, wanting to harmonize this. So this session was a lot about harmonizing and also forgiving, also letting go of guilt and shame, you know, also sort of reminding ourselves that it is okay to get distracted. It is okay to sometimes forget this. But it is something then in the process of reconnecting that needs to be reclaimed. Yeah, we need to reclaim that connection, that true connection. And from there, we can build relationships with others. We can build deeper relationships. Yeah, this is basically part of the purpose of connecting with our true self, is to be able to build deeper and more true relationships with others. Yes, Janet is commenting here on the normal. Yes, and this is exactly what happens, Janet, when we tune into this deeper inner connection. We realize, and I love how you said that, hollow. That's exactly what I saw. Like the way visually, the way I saw this, and Julia and Becky and Abigail, please comment here. Just barge in, because you facilitated the session with me. Was as a hole in the heart. It felt hollow. There was like a vacuum there in our heart where this deeper true self connection should have been. Yes, and that's then what we begin to feel. Yeah, at first it always starts with the relaxation and the peacefulness, and then something else starts. Linda, you said this very beautifully, because this is how it goes for most people. Then sort of feelings come up, and then the mind starts censoring it. And now we are in the middle of our false self battle. Okay. There's a lot of you who experienced something like a guilt to it yourself, and this fear of not being worthy. Who am I, you know, to be a healer or to tell others, you know, like about this connection, if I keep forgetting about connecting myself. And normal, yeah, normal is an ego term. Normal just means whatever it is that you experience the majority of the time. It's not a qualitative parameter. It's just something like a track record. The activation or the awareness impulse here in this session was to no longer accept this absence of true connection and tense tightness, tension, and control as the normal, to claim a new normal, to claim that connection with your true self regardless. That was the deeper aspect of this session. Yeah, and Abigail, you commented on something that happened at the what was that, the last 10 minutes of the session, there was a spontaneous opening here for all of the participants in the fifth chakra region. And that has to do, maybe you felt this with a crack in the neck, or, something sort of releasing from your throat, from maybe your nose started running. Sometimes it can also, this release, this energetic release can also come forward as like literally sort of whatever was clogged here coming out. Okay, burps are also a very common sign of a fifth chakra clearing. Yeah, reminding us that whatever it is that we bring into expression defines who we are. We have a choice to define this. It is in our choice whom we want to experience this life as, that we are answering the call for a deeper inner connection. The true motivation for spiritual seeking, guys, should be your intention to wanting to bring yourself into your higher expression as good as you can, yeah, given circumstances and so forth, but never accept adverse circumstances as normal. It is not normal to be told what to think, what to do. It is not normal to be told to inject something into yourself, or to be told that you have to stay at a certain place, or have to wear certain things, or that you cannot say certain things. That is not normal, guys. You can feel this from deep within if you're connected with your true self. Because when you're connected with your true self, you align to truth. And that then allows you to discern truth. We still have to contend with 3D stuff. Yeah. So, for example, I know that some of you who are in New Zealand or in Australia and some European countries are still dealing with, say, the corona restrictions. Yeah, whereas here in the States, in some states, or in South Africa or in Europe, this is all long past. Nobody wears face masks anymore, nobody tests and so forth. So I want you to tune into the common sense of truth. Yeah, the common sense of truth is that you are truth, is that you are love, is that you are freedom. You are that already. Due to the power of your consciousness, you already have that. Yes, Cheryl. Yes, Jane. It's about reclaiming it. We all have error perceptions. We all have these perceptions of like, oh, I got to do, and I got to be, and I got to say, and I got to la, 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 all day long. Those are error perceptions. They're all just based on fear. Think about it. They're not based on truth. If I don't do this, then I get in trouble. If I don't say that, or if I don't act like that, then what? They're not going to love you anymore? Like, you have to deserve other people's love? You have to deserve your freedom? You have to deserve your truth? Really? Really? It's in you accepting that as normal, that you are falling for your own error perception. And that needs to be seen and felt. And it needs to be reclaimed, redone, transcend, as you said, Mindy, but not what you guys think you need to transcend. You guys think you need to transcend your dark parts? No. You need to let go of trying to be someone you're not. And that has nothing to do with what your ego thinks you need to be. What you are is truth. What you are is love. What you are is freedom. Okay? whom and how you want to represent that here in this world, that's your choice. That is the choice that we all have, and it's a bit simplified to say it that way, but you can choose to be your true self in this life or your ego self. Your ego self is then the culmination of all the false selves and, you know, the shoulds and the musts and the perfectionism and the materialism and all that. Yeah. Being connected or consciously feeling the connection with your true self, guys, feels like love. And Linda, don't allow your mind to censor that. Go with it. Sit in it. Allow yourself to feel that. Was anybody here able to feel this deep, deep love? And maybe you felt this with pain in your heart. I did. I did. Someone mentioned this in the beginning. There was an expansion here of the heart field that took place, and that was almost painful. Anyone? Becky, Julian, Abigail, would you like to break the ice a little bit and describe it in your words how you experienced this during the session?
Hi, Jona. I'm happy to speak. This is
Hi,
Abigail. Yeah. For me, I didn't actually feel the pain. I felt that a lot in the past, but I didn't feel that with the expansion. I just felt a very deep inner peace, and it kind of went out, kind of quite wide. So it didn't seem to get caught in my heart. But the heart felt active, and so did the third chakra and the second chakra. They all felt very active, and yeah, it was for me. It felt like a very comfortable, comforting session. I didn't really feel like I had to do much except kind of just sit there and be, and it all just kind of seemed to happen. I didn't really feel any resistance. It just felt very nice to be there.
Just in the beginning, right? We felt a bit of resistance, you know, like, I mean, obviously we all went through this physical relaxation aspect, right? We felt the physical stuff at first. So this is something that when you're not used to energy sessions, you know, you just got to sort of go with it. The first 10, 15 minutes are always kind of like a response of your whole entire body to this focus or to this like different state. And then there was, no, remember, Abigail, at the beginning, there was something like a sense of urgency, a sense of seriousness, and a fear of missing out, right? Remember, I mean, it's so long ago, right? We forgot about it.
It was definitely the beginning, and that felt very deep inside. It didn't feel like it was coming from outside. It didn't feel like an outside pressure. It really felt like it was coming from deep inside of ourselves.
It was ourselves.
Yeah, which is lovely because we all kind of can relate to that feeling of, you know, that pressure from outside. You know, we all of us kind of feel that very often. So it did feel quite a contrast to that.
Yeah, thank you. Very nice description, and it's always good to hear, you know, people, especially you co-facilitators. You know, Abigail co-facilitated the session live. To hear this in your words, yeah, it helps. Yeah. See, Cheryl's commenting here brought her to tears, but happy tears did to me too.
Yeah, me too. At
feel
times
this
it
right
felt
now.
very overwhelming. Yeah. It felt so beautiful. It really often did feel overwhelming.
But it did require us to let go. Yeah. So the resistance was there, and how the session went for you individually, each and every one of you individually, then depends on what came up for you as resistance. What came up for you? This was, you know, like almost an hour sitting in this true self energy. What came up for you? Thoughts,
Yeah, I can share again,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
just because
please.
no one else is at the moment. Yeah, one of the things that came up for me was like music playing inside of me. It wasn't a resistance, and it was like this song by Neil Diamond called "Play Me," and so
Oh, I love
then
that.
I found this. And I found the song, and it's really like very, very pretty, really, really beautiful. But then the words irritated me, so I because they weren't what I wanted them to be, you know, because he was kind of muddling the sun and the moon up and all that kind of business. So so there was a bit of resistance there, but but yeah, it was a beautiful, beautiful song, and yeah, but I didn't really have, because often I have the mind coming in, or kind of like, oh, what should I be doing this afternoon or tomorrow, and that kind of thing. But I didn't get too much of that this time. I don't know about other people, if others got that.
Thank you for sharing. Here we go. Yeah, this webinar here that we do right after the True Self session is also there for you to inquire about your personal energies. Many of you know this. So I will, if you have no questions or no comments, yeah, deep peace within, Jill, yes. Total stillness for a few moments. And sometimes it is just for a few moments. And I want to remind all of you that these moments, these are eternal moments, guys. This is your eternal heart that you're feeling. Maybe just for a brief second. And that's all it takes as a reference feeling for being connected with your true self. Truly being connected with your true self. So I want to close with this alignment here that came in right before the session. And if you go to my SoundCloud, I can share the link here in the chat as well. You find a 5-minute energy alignment, also these mini meditations that I give away for free, that I call the True Self Prayer. I often use this. It's a different, slightly different alignment than the one here from our invocation. That one is the oval invocation, yeah, to basically dedicating or announcing, yeah, proclaiming that we are true self. Here in this prayer, it's a bit more intimate, addressing this deeper connection with our true selves, yeah, which we experience as individuated. Mandy, you can go back there anytime. Yeah, so let me close our beautiful webinar here, a beautiful true self talk, with reading this to you. And before I do, I want to thank all the co-facilitators for coming. Abigail, thank you so much for sharing here, and giving us insights from the energy worker perspective, and all of you who came here to the live talk and who shared. Yeah, thank you very much. Share this with others, guys. This came in very, very deeply at the very end, that this is something that's contagious. It's contagious like a light virus. Yeah, it's the other kind of contagion. Yeah, that spreads this impulse to go into this deeper inner connection. Let me read this true self prayer for you. True self, I know you there. If I take the time, I can feel you in my sacred heart. You remind me that I am more than just a projection of myself. You are my grounding rod, way shower, and guardian angel. You guide me through my dream world and help me to navigate the confusions of dark and light. And you give me the courage to be me. thank you for always being there for me, even if I ignore you. Forgive me for all the times I have neglected your guidance. I am awake now, and I accept the unawareness of my past. It led me to refusing to listen to your signals and clues, denying your existence, and even forgetting to ask you for help. So often, I chose to listen to my false self, my ego, my mind, my fears, and my emotions instead. I believed in these false projections, those of others and my own, because it was all I could see. I was asleep. I identified with my false self, my defenses and protection, and all its pain, which separated me even more from you. I didn't know any better. I herewith absolve myself for all I thought, felt, fantasized, and did out of the lack of awareness in the past. I can now see how useful each of these lessons, in which you let me feel the pain of not being true to myself, were. Out of the love for the divine in me, you go through everything with me, unconditionally. I finally understand this now. All fears, justifications, and temptations that come from the illusion of being alone in this world are the true darkness I need to overcome. And that this is why you are here with me, to guide me and protect me, and to keep me awake when I sleep. For that, I want to thank you and return this love by becoming more true to myself. From here on, I choose to trust in this love more, by trusting in my true self-awareness that gives me the ability to feel you at all times and to discern truth. Your love is sacred to me. I can feel you now. Thank you. Thank you, James. Thanks for coming. Thank you all for taking the time to connect within and to connect with truth, love, and freedom that is already there. I love you guys. I see you very, very soon. If you have these moments where you feel lost, go to my SoundCloud, download or listen to these energy alignments there. Go to my YouTube channel. There's like over 600 workshops and talks, and each and every one of them has that activation code in it. Just listen to it while you're working on something or whatever. It will bring you back into this space. Or read the invocation for the true self session, or this one, or any other. Okay, it's your birthright. That's the true you. See you guys. Happy Easter. Bye-bye.